Okay, ready. Okay, just real quick, just for introductions, Mark Hackel, Macomb County Executive, and this is Bill Rodella, our Chief Medical Officer, I should say Health Department Director here in Macomb County. Interesting enough that we're responding to something that was put out on social media this morning by one of the mayors of a large city here in Macomb County, creating quite a hysteria, and I think inappropriately so. I just first want to say thanks to the media for coming today to cover this and for questioning what was put out, because you weren't getting answers from the mayor as to what he meant by this. And to be quite blunt, quite direct, at 6 o'clock this morning, I myself called the mayor to ask him what it is he was referring to or talking about, and did not get a call back. So we had called many others to try to figure out what this meant. I mean, when you start talking about things like the Flint water crisis and a mini version of that, that's unacceptable. To exploit something of that magnitude because of whatever purpose or whatever reason you may have to indicate that there's a problem with the drinking water here in Macomb County is unacceptable, and I say that for this reason. I've been getting inundated by calls into my office today and having to respond by saying I don't know what that meant or what that referred to. Talking to our Health Department Director, who has called many different agencies, and he'll explain that in just a second, to find out what is the issue with drinking water here in Macomb County, and to find that there is none. But yet not to get a call back from the mayor when we ask for him to call back, the Health Department calling over to his office and not getting a call back, but yet now I understand that he just recently put out another social media tweet. When the media called me prior to this press conference, I'd asked you to help me find out what happened or what the issue might be. There wasn't a one of you that was able to make contact to figure out what this crisis was with our drinking water here in Macomb County. And again, very disappointing to create that kind of hysteria here in Macomb County. I don't know what else to say. I find that absolutely deplorable. I can't even explain to you the people that called that were really worried about this because of the crisis that did happen in Flint. And to exploit that, again, no public official should ever exploit the crisis in Flint. That was an incident in and of itself. That was a real issue, and to the magnitude that it was is still something that they're trying to address. So that being said, I just want to quickly turn it over to Bill Rodella, Director of our Health Department, and he'll just quickly explain to you what processes go through if there is a concern, and yet who he had to reach out to find out if there was a problem here. But we already know, because of a second, if you will, social media post by the mayor, that he has backed down from that original statement. Not because he called me, not because he called the Health Department, not because he called you, but because he decided to put it out on social media that there's this crisis. I think the real story is why would a mayor of the third largest city of the state of Michigan, the largest city in the county of Macomb, create such a hysteria, not reach out to county officials, not talk to county officials, not talk to the media, but put out some kind of a post like this to get families and people worried about it, use Flint as a way to exploit whatever other concern he may have, and yet leave people sitting there wondering what's going on with their drinking water, when now all of a sudden he realizes and is saying there is no problem with the drinking water because he knows I'm having this press conference right now. So with that being said, Bill Rodella. Bill.
Thank you, Mark. And as County Executive Hackel said, when we became aware of this and got some calls from our residents, the first thing we did was reach out to the mayor's office, and we did not get a return call from the mayor's office. We then reached out to their water department, and their water department indicated that they were even blindsided by this announcement and indicated the water quality is fine. Furthermore, we decided to contact the Great Lakes Water Authority, their water quality section, and again, I got assurances that there was, again, they were unaware of the problem and had, there's no problem with Warren or Macomb County's water. And then also the Department of Environmental Quality at the state, they were unaware of this information and, again, assured us that there is no problem with the water. This is not a public health issue, and again, that's the calls that we made. We wanted to make sure that our residents are aware that the water is safe here in Macomb County and the city of Warren.
Hackel, I'm curious, besides calling out, what kind of action can be taken?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I'm going to be blunt and direct. This isn't the first time that we've had to deal with this particular mayor giving some kind of alarmist type of an attitude on many different issues, not just exploiting, issues like Flint, but even exposing concerns that he may have from government entities like the county or others. And yet the question becomes afterwards, people find out that whatever he's talking about is either a minor issue or a non-issue. And then the question becomes, okay, you got a big splash, there's a big concern, and then we find out there's no big deal. What happens after that? And people, responding as to, well, he's just trying to make sure people are doing what they're supposed to be doing. I find it extremely unacceptable. I mean, I don't even have words for it. I mean, it's like this morning getting up and having to have the media call me and then finding out that I'm calling them at 6 o'clock in the morning myself, personally. By the way, I followed it up with a call to several other mayors, Mayor of St. Clair Shores, just by happen chance, if they knew what was going on. The mayor of Sterling Heights, to figure out, because he's a large city in Macomb County, the second largest city. Neither one of them were aware of a concern, but they all returned my call after 15 minutes. I left them a voicemail, and that was right around the 6:30 time frame this morning. So to not want to call us back when you're talking about Macomb County, especially the executive of Macomb County, yet want to play with social media to create a stir for the public, I don't know what his issue is. Whatever it could be is insurmountable to a concern telling people we've got a problem with our drinking water that mirrors that in the city of Flint. I mean, that is just absolutely unacceptable, and I hope somebody, and I'm hoping that the media takes in the task on that. Why would you create such a stir? Now when the executive puts out that he's having a press conference over this issue after the health department called his water department, and they said, we're blindsided by this, we don't know what you're referring to. Much like many of you in the media, myself, and everyone else around the county, no one knows what he was referring to or what his issue was. Whatever that issue is, it certainly wasn't elevated to a level of a Flint crisis. Don't use Flint. Any public official who's listening to this that wants to use Flint in their attempt to get reelected, elected, or to go after another public official, I think ought to be exposed by the media, because that is unacceptable, because people have real fears about what happened in Flint, and rightly so. There was absolutely no crisis, no concern with the drinking water here in Macomb County, and now, shortly after realizing people are calling him out on it, I get a social media post that comes my way from someone else, but certainly not a phone call from the mayor. That's unacceptable.